Emergency alert, breaking news. This is an urgent Let's Break Free, You and Me radio announcement. I'm Arbor Sywell in the historic newsroom, 1975. We are receiving reports of a psychological prison break in upstate New York. Let's turn it over to our Where the Need is Great correspondent, Dorbrick Elwes, for complete details.
Yes, Arbor, it can now be confirmed that the symbolic Kentay Tobe is now on the loose. His description is as follows. Born in third-generation zealot runaway, last seen in the remote foothills of Warwick, New York, requesting the release of all psychological hostages, hoodwinked by the notorious kingpin Watchtower puppet masters, henceforth known as the ungoverning Shoddy. If you see this symbolic Kentay Tobe, he is armed with a message of brutal reality. Proceed with caution. This could alter the course of your life. Discernment is not optional. Use this gift wisely and listen as I speak to the conditional brother-loving friends about the ungoverning Shoddy and his Pied Piper circular fog surfing blind eyes, searching for the color of ice. And it goes just like this. Back in 1968. Midwest snowflake memories, Saturday morning, Buster Brown's shiny shoe feet on the floor, calloused knuckles knocking on all those doors. I got that good news. You should pray them this way, lost in translation to benefit your wordplay. Ruining lives with bait and switch lies. Ding dong, wake up for pretty magazines, a nickel a piece or a dime for the two. You sold it back in the day, now it's pawned off as the new good news brand new. Nope, it's way too early. Get off my porch, JWs. Next stop, territory return visit to Dunkin' Donuts, Bavarian cream. Yes, funny, but not so funny, because my time was mine. And you hijacked my time, carrot chasing a promise. Blind leading the sheep to the sucker slaughter line. Looking like a different team, but flip-flopping has always been a part of your big picture scheme. From high-profit real estate sales to cash flow consolidations, your track record indicates a pattern of aggressive desperation to fuel your defense against the vicious dragons of litigation, as you simultaneously construct the last day's flagship expansion into Caleb's big-eyed cartoon studio, with the likelihood of morphing into the final part of the last days. Grandeur of Spongy Bottom's International House of Televangelism. Confidence is compromised, and uncertainty is brewing, but your sheeples are nonchalantly ignored. Reminiscent of the alarming discovery of your lustful bestiality, with the beast and library cards scattered under the sheets, a disgusting alliance that you use to keep, and your decomposing existence continues to have no shameful limit. The curtain was left open, and the emperor has no clothes. The perceived wisdom is demolished in an instant, like a twinkling of an eye, but your hand's still in my pocket for a ticket to paradise. While looking to love bomb, hurt the already hurt. Next, somebody. That's why they don't want to rock with you no more, because all you want is more, then a different kind of more, always pulling from the fractured reservoir of the psychologically defeated, mentally crippled, emotionally strained, and bottomed out depleted. Your tricky execution of tickling ears with truthful lies, and the cavalier arrogance of no apologies, while simultaneously projecting a persona of moral fortitude, but in all actuality it's moral turpitude. Ponder on these things, because joy cannot survive a calculated smothering. A snare and a racket from your own mouth rings true. A simpleton fool or a sucker. Absolute truth reveals who is who. Keep searching to see if these things are really true. Book-bag soldiers, please understand the code, the way that I'm talking to you. And like a thief in the night, the graveyard pyramid disappears into the shoddy witness protection program, out of sight, out of mind, in stark contrast to the false prophecy mansion in plain sight, preserved in sunny, honey San Diego, while life-altering decisions get whispered in a huddle by your backroom boys in the club, from a secret instructional manual of iron fist rulership, knowing that life on the other side of the table will never be the same when that microphone reads your name, but those leopard spots are always the same on the high and mighty backs of the pinky rings who control the game. It should be no surprise that the rehearsed humility of the ungoverning Shoddy is easy to recognize. That trademark smile, occasional stiff upper lip with an air of dictatorial entitlement, and a grandiose disposition that demands compliance as fictitious only channel brothers of the king. But you abandoned that magnetic grace, now replaced with aggressively sour mandates on the people in the place, with no windows where docile energy grows plentiful. Admonished to always believe, even when it makes no sense, and your community surrenders to the transcendental rabbit hole of low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression, all lurking behind that perfect costume of happy-eyed humility. But the Berean mindset of critical thinking is an unwelcomed oddity that is primed for shame and considered bad company. But this movement started with men who were all critical thinkers. It's the accepted norm to stay in line and don't think. The door is open, but minds and hearts are closed under Shoddy's control. And the Negro faces are restricted to the slave master peanut gallery of small brain, low aptitude, inferior creations swept under the hush rug of Shoddy's connective history, moving full steam ahead, going nowhere fast, like an underground train that has never left the station. A rebranding of this inferior blackness belief was prudent because endless corporate growth was on the horizon. Now, whitewashed by the bright light of tokenism, the one hue of darkness is finally welcomed into the corporate leadership fold with a future stylish goatee. Soon, that small brain black servant history was forgotten and often denied, like it never even happened. Yet, the archaic containment of women continues, and the stifling abuse of the childhood experience, while harboring twinkle-finger predators of little boys and girls with the famous loophole of two-faced judge-eyed rule, the gold standard shield of pervert protection, backroom secret agreements, private reproof, scandalous records under lock and key, and the diseased collective consciousness remains pure with a warm brotherly smile, robotically trained by the ungoverning Shoddy. Now, Shoddy is shamefully called on the carpet to the cold room down under, where they serve hot verdicts on a silver platter. The ungoverning Shoddy's game plan of using weapons of theocratic warfare to justify concealment of the evil within proved to be nothing more than an exercise in futility. The hammer drops on Shoddy. Now he's dripping with 29 uninspired royal eggs, shot all over his shoddy face, for all the world to see his milquetoast disgrace, a true witness of nothingness. And you are all alone, settling into the hours of darkness, watching the official court proceedings and reading the legal transcripts on your screen, scratching your head. And out of nowhere, a lonely teardrop of betrayal splatters on your keyboard, and you quietly ask yourself, why do I continue to follow? And that secret pain lingers inside with a stabbing irritation, like a confused love for a long-time frenemy. Meanwhile, Mr. Matchbook Poof, yeah, I said it, Mr. Matchbook Poof, is tucked away in your stash house, sipping and dancing and singing the lyrics of Aretha Franklin. You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Non-disclosures can be violated. Do what it takes to keep him happy, or everything goes poof. Yes, for some of you, the electrified battle cry of yesteryears gone by was advertise. Advertise, advertise. The king and his kingdom. But now, the ungoverning Shoddy draws on the skillful persuasion of lifelike cart mannequins, pointing to a corporate domain, while no longer enthusiastically defending the book bags and the colorful utopian papers with a familiar promise. And the people passing by just walk on by without even a hi. And with a simple pen stroke, check the box, and just like that, the blood guilt noose is finally loose in this new light business deal. And it's becoming clear that it's all about legal woes and numbers, not to be confused with the Book of Numbers, with no concrete evidence of divine approval, yet still proudly holding onto that buzzsaw of destruction. That dead to me, turn your back like I'm a stranger, a man of the nations. Iceberg shoulder technique, the crown jewel of your paper kingdom. It can only be said that future adjustments will be necessary for retention and corporate survival. Because your clean-cut booty face switcheroo is not a stop the bleeding solution. and let's take a nice deep dive into your youth and adult puppy potty training concept of don't look internet restrictions. This is nothing more than a handicapped mechanism of weak-minded control. The rightly aggressive internet platforms should be your theocratic teachable moments, preparing your soldiers of righteousness to defend every facet of your belief system. And now I hear that nasty word swine echoing loudly in your mind as I speak. Just remember that all swines have considered the alternative at some point in life. And all swines don't really want to be swines. They just go with what they already know. If you take the time to understand the reality and mental chess moves of the proverbial swine, your pearls will often prosper in unexpected ways. That is, if you are sincerely searching for lost hearts and truly believe the accuracy of your knowledge. Can you even remember the last time that you confidently debated toe-to-toe with someone of contrasting beliefs, without supplemental publications, boldly representing your position, feeling that controlled fire in your gut, truly knowing by the concluding handshake that your silver sword sparring guided someone inches closer to the promise? Sad to say, I no longer see that joyful fire of good news, eagerness in the eyes of your underlings. A blank, drifting, hypnotic glaze of obligation, and a casual nod with a half smile is usually the consistent norm from a distance. That bold face, confidence of, here I am, send me, has now changed to here I am, standing under a tree, waiting for someone to approach me. Seems like long ago that you used to go to the people, but now you stand and wait for the people to take the bait. Wake up and take this respectable challenge, Shoddy. If you're truly confident in your position, and you truly believe everything that you spew into the ether, deep in the bone marrow of your existence, and you truly have absolutely nothing to hide, the internet should be your open field of challenge. If your spiritual cardio isn't within the range of respectable defense, your existence is nothing more than a shelter of blatant spiritual neglect. Remember the life of Paul. This monster internet is your persecutor, Paul. The internet is and will always be your overpowering nemesis if you continue to only seek out those who agree with your abstract words and blind-eyed direction. So please, listen carefully, Shoddy. Your future adult relationships with the current youth population is increasingly critical. They are tech-savvy, actively swiping and attentively watching. This is your future pool of organizational growth. Yet, you continue to prepare your youth like baby birds cuddled together, still drinking mommy bird milk. That fingertip internet access to the world never takes a break. Your big-eyed cartoons don't portray how it really goes down when mommy's not around. You need to tighten up your cartoon game because the youth are ill-prepared under your mentorship. Your Nancy, just say no, is not always a hard no when nobody's watching, but I think you already know. But maybe this was all your secret master plan by design, and you are just quietly quitting or passively conceding your prowess to the outcasted grasshopper, recognizing that your diminished influence could never match the tenacious vigor of the problem population that you have spitefully created. Now, your iron-sharpened swords are nothing more than a shiny facsimile of yesteryears gone by, as you relinquish your weekend existence to the power of principled defeat. And as we look back at your screeching plethora of blunders, it is crystal clear that you have never been crystal clear with any degree of impactful accuracy, reminiscent of that yesterday's promise boldly proclaimed. Many now living will never die, but we all remember how those empty words disappeared without fulfillment into the wilderness of butter popcorn promises. We must also shed light on the book of salvation that you uniquely translated with unqualified and uninspired linguistic translators under the cloak of darkness, while prodding your sheeples over the horizon into your new sunlight, revealing a foggy clarity branded as divine food. It is no surprise that your honeypot trademark of convoluted timelines with carrot-chasing guidelines continues to be that lucrative heartbeat of your corporate bankroll. The secular author Mark Twain once said that it is easier to fool a person than it is to convince them that they have been fooled. His quote demonstrates how you shoddily continue to feed into that crippling narrative while banking on the human tendency to always gravitate to the line of least resistance, making it easy for you to maintain a core block of followers. But they are growing old, and they feel the failure of a trap. Convinced that there is no place else to go, with a deeply ingrained loyalty to your hypnotic monotone, they gravitate back to you as their welcoming captors. Yes, the light gets brighter, but the spotlight reveals a viral corruption that can no longer be disguised as a beacon of salvation. You will give attention to his place, and he will not be, takes on a different connotation for those who deserve to be free from an ideology that has lost its place. In the kingdom of peace, bitterness serves no purpose in the company of maturity, and real truth deserves the honor of testing without contaminated influence or controlled restrictions. Please pause Ungoverning Shoddy and take a quiet moment to consider this examination of your existing operation, not just as a vicious rebuke, but as a necessary brave-hearted call to action for all the victims and the voiceless being held hostage in fear of losing their cherished family ties to. Your safe haven of wooden nickel devotion, stubbornly creeping closer to the tender pupil of the Almighty. Now, as these victims eventually break free from your bondage, change can often be a big mountain to climb, and understandably inconvenient for these pathfinders of righteousness. But it's an absolute must that they vigorously move forward with motivating ammunition, allowing yesterday to be gone. This has always been everyone's birthright permission to live your life, and let the true Almighty that you can't see be the judge of your free, moral agent reality. I speak these words to the bright-eyed youth and the old, whose youth was snatched like a stolen purse. If you only knew of all the rich opportunities that are waiting, especially for you, on the road toward reaching your life's fullest potential. Of course, there will be various challenges along the way, but that is your learning curve of growth, teaching you to better position yourself for all the available options on this chessboard of life. Fear is a visceral feeling, but courage is an action that is not always absent from the feeling of fear. This newfound beautiful courage requires practice, and as you progress, you will one day catch a glimpse of your reflection and ask yourself why you waited so long to discover and appreciate what it means to be you. This life was gifted to you, and only you, and you have the refreshing responsibility to move forward without depressive restrictions. However, both self-discipline and awareness are necessary tools of balance along the way. There is no need to forcefully abandon your value system, because you will be tested and you will learn what works for you as you become the free moral agent that you were meant to be. Keep in mind that the concept of happiness is a choice, and you are the one that decides how to nurture that happiness and appreciate yourself as a multifaceted gift to humanity. After 4 decades of detachment from existing within those parameters of conditional love and conditional friendship, I was reluctant to speak to you on the subject because I knew it would be a cathartic experience. But this was the time to brush those feelings aside, because the urgency of this message needs your reception for serious consideration. However, this will not be a continued dialogue, because everything that needed to be said was said, and everything presented has a deeper meaning if you take the time to ponder. I trust that you will read between the lines to discover the clarity that you are seeking. I am confident that you will make the appropriate choice for your future, but unlike your current associates, no love will be lost if you choose to continue your present programming. As a side note of clarity, my free moral agency continues to be influenced by the proverbial way of the young boy, and I have always welcomed that partner in my life's journey. But my hard-knock guttural balance and deep experienced understanding of the layered motivations of evil men has also remained at 10-toe attention. Thus is the blended union of my life. And that is what brings me here today in this slice of life connective moment. If just one person feels me speaking to your heart with sincere clarity and without bitterness, then my sensitive mission of communication has served its purpose. I hope your life surprises you with consistent joy and constructive fulfillment on this seamless roller coaster adventure of inhaling and exhaling the blessings of life. I deliver you this solemn-hearted message on behalf of all child sexual abuse victims, blood doctrine victims, suicide victims, domestic violence victims, and shunned family hostage victims, all directly under the control or distantly damaged by the control of the Watchtower leadership, also known as the ungoverning shoddy. My respected shout out to the worldwide unified force that continues to boldly speak out against this diseased mechanism of deception and control. Your powerful voices will never be hushed away, existing in the power of gratitude and humility, without gullibility. This has been your Where the Need is Great. Correspondent Dorbrick Elwis, reporting on location, written and directed deeply from the heart of Mr. Broderick Lee Lewis. We sincerely thank you for sharing this important moment. Peace to the home of your heart.